At Christmas, my sister shoved me down the stairs. My family laughed while I lay at the bottom with a broken wrist. My mom said, "You're always so dramatic." I didn't argue. I did this. 3 days later, they opened a letter and went speechless. My sister shoved me down the stairs on Christmas Day. Let's just start there. I hit the floor so hard I heard my wrist snap. Heard it before I felt it, which was almost a mercy. The pain came a second later, sharp and bright and blooming all the way up to my shoulder. I was lying at the bottom of the stairs, gasping, trying to sit up without screaming. And from above, I heard her laugh. Then my mom's voice. "You're always so dramatic." That's what she said, while I held my broken wrist and tried not to pass out. No one ran to check on me. No one asked if I could move. They just stood there, watching. My dad said something about how I should have been more careful. My little brother giggled and said it looked like something out of a cartoon. I didn't say a word. I stood up slowly, one stair at a time. Then I went to my room, grabbed my laptop, charger, and whatever I could shove into a bag with one hand. I picked up that bag with my good hand, walked out the front door. No one stopped me. No one even asked where I was going. Let me rewind. Rewinding is important because if I just start with the fall, you might think this was an accident. A slip. A clumsy moment. It wasn't. It was the end of something that had been building my entire life. I'd spent 8 hours cooking that day. Christmas dinner. The full thing. Roasted chicken, 3 sides, dessert from scratch. I cleaned the whole downstairs, folded napkins, even lit candles. All because they told me they were too busy to help. My mom said she had freelance deadlines. My dad was catching up on invoices. My sister had some exam to study for, which was rich, considering she's barely opened a textbook in 2 years, so they asked me to cook. Asked is generous. They told me. And I said yes, because deep down, some part of me, the part that still believes in stupid things, thought that maybe this year they'd notice. Say thank you. Eat what I made and look at me like I mattered. Instead, my dad walked in, looked at the table and said, "Bit much, don't you think?" My mom asked why the stuffing was cold. Cassandra, my sister, just smirked and said, "Well, at least it smells like effort." That was the tone. Start to finish. I told them I just needed to grab the napkins before we sat down. They were upstairs, in the hallway cupboard. I went up the stairs. She followed me. "You're always in the way," she muttered. "I'll be 1 second," I said. "You always say that." And then, her hands on my back. Not a playful push, not a joke, just shove. And then I was falling. I didn't scream. I think that made it worse, like they didn't even notice something was wrong until they saw me on the floor. "Jesus," my brother said. "Did you just fall?" "No," Cassandra answered. She threw herself for attention. And my mom? God. She leaned over the banister and said, "Can we not do this now?" I went to the hospital alone, took an Uber, held my wrist the entire way, breathing in short, tight bursts. "Hairline fracture," they said. "Clean break. No surgery, but I'd need a splint and some time off work." The nurse asked what happened. I lied. Then I went to a motel, paid cash. Didn't go back to the house. Didn't answer their texts. The few that came in. I didn't even bother icing my wrist. I just lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about the food still sitting untouched on the table. Later that night, I opened my laptop. There was a file waiting for me. I clicked it, watched it, and smiled. 3 days later, they got a letter. When they opened it, they went pale, just like I knew they would. When people say it wasn't always like this, they usually mean things got worse. I can't say that. It was always like this. My first memory of Cassandra involves a hairbrush and a bald spot. I was 4, she was 6. She told me she was playing salon. By the time my mom came in, the bathroom floor looked like a crime scene for dolls. I was sobbing. Cassandra looked bored. Mom said, "Don't be such a baby, Maya." That line would follow me for years. Don't be dramatic. Don't be difficult. Don't ruin things. Cassandra could do anything. And I do mean anything. And she'd get a free pass. I once caught her hitting me with the heel of a shoe. A literal shoe. I had a bruise on my temple and my dad just sighed and said, "You girls need to learn how to get along." Except we didn't fight. I got hit. She smiled. And I never fought back. Not because I didn't want to, but because I knew it wouldn't matter. The only time I tried to report it, I must have been 13. I told a teacher that my sister had left scratches all down my arm. The teacher said she'd look into it. That night, my parents cornered me in the living room like I was on trial. "You want to destroy your sister's future? She'll never get into college with this on her record. We're your family, and you're trying to tear us apart." My mom slapped me. First and only time. She cried after, said she was just scared for Cassandra. I believed her. At the time. Later I realized she was just scared that someone might start asking questions about them. After that, I stopped talking. Not that anyone ever really asked me anything. We lived in my grandmother's house. Technically, back when I was little, she still lived in it too. In the room off the hallway that always smelled like lavender and pencil shavings. She was the only one who ever stood up for me. When Cassandra shoved me once and I hit my chin on the table, my mom asked what I did to provoke her. Grandma said, "She's 10. Stop blaming her for being in the way I loved that room. She used to let me stay there when I was sick, and she'd make tea with honey and trace her fingers over the freckles on my arm and say they looked like constellations. She called me her North Star. I think she knew what was going on. She never said it outright, but she knew. When I was 14, they moved her to a care home. Medical reasons, they said. She needs better care. I knew the truth. She was asking too many questions. She died 2 years later. I was 16. I remember the funeral mostly for the cold. It rained sideways. Cassandra wore a dress so short it looked like a belt. My mom gave a eulogy that used the word legacy 5 times and didn't mention me once. Then came the reading of the will. We all sat in the lawyer's office like it was a game show, Mom and Dad whispering, Cassandra texting, me just trying to breathe. And then the lawyer read it. The house, everything, was placed in a trust. Not to be sold, not to be split, just held. Until Leo, my younger brother, turns 25. At that point, the house would be divided equally between all of us. Mom, Dad, Cassandra, Leo, and me. But there was a clause. A specific clause with my name on it. If at any point before Leo's 25th birthday, I could provide credible evidence of mistreatment, I would gain sole right to the property. Anyone who mistreated me would forfeit their share and be evicted. There was a pause in the room. Then Cassandra laughed. "Wow," she said. She really went full Disney villain on that one. My dad chuckled. My mom said something about manipulative old women with favorites. I sat there, frozen. She'd believed me. She'd actually believed me. It was the first time in my life I felt like someone saw what was happening and said, enough. Of course, my family didn't take it seriously. For about a month afterward, things were weirdly nice. Cassandra stopped hitting me. My mom stopped snapping at me. My dad asked if I wanted to go grocery shopping. It was all very Stepford and very fake. It didn't last. By spring, they were back to normal. Snide comments. Chores dumped on me. Jokes at my expense over dinner. Cassandra slapped me in the hallway once. Said I was in her way. My mom was right there. She said, "Girls, not today. Please not stop. Not don't hit your sister. Just not today." I got my first job when I was 17. A cashier at a grocery store. 3 buses, 6 hours on my feet, minimum wage. My parents immediately started charging me rent. "Since you're contributing now," my dad said. Cassandra didn't pay. Leo didn't have to. Just me. I paid. But I also saved. Not much. Not enough to get out. But enough to hide a little away each month. The way a squirrel hides food before winter. And I watched. I noticed how Cassandra always got nastier when no one else was around. I noticed how my mom only yelled at me when the doors were closed. I noticed how they always called me dramatic, no matter what happened. So I bought a camera. Cheap. Motion triggered. Linked to my laptop. I installed it above the stairs, then one in the kitchen, then the hallway. They didn't notice. I didn't know what I'd do with the footage. I just wanted to have it. I wanted proof, because deep down, I knew. One day, something would happen again. And next time, I wouldn't be alone at the bottom of the stairs, trying to convince myself it was all in my head. The file wasn't even named, just a timestamp. But I knew what it was. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, still wearing the same jeans from Christmas Eve, one sock missing, wrist throbbing, and clicked it. No ceremony. No popcorn. Just the cheap glow of a lamp, the smell of old carpet, and a lump in my throat the size of a fist. There it was. The upstairs hallway. Frozen on screen. Me, halfway up the stairs, heading for the linen cupboard like an idiot still trying to be helpful. Cassandra followed. Close. Too close. You could see the look on her face. Bored, impatient, already annoyed that I existed. She muttered something I couldn't make out, then rolled her eyes like I'd just told her I was breathing again. Then came the shove. It wasn't dramatic. That's what got me. It wasn't cinematic or exaggerated. Just 2 hands, deliberate, steady, pushing me in the back while I was off balance. I watched myself fall. The way my arms flailed, the way my foot slipped. I hit the stairs like a rag doll, elbows, hip, shoulder, thudding down 1 step at a time. And then I saw my own body lying there, not moving. 1 wrist bent at the wrong angle, a plate smashed at the base of the stairs like a bad omen. Then came the sound. "Jesus," Leo said. "Did you just fall?" "No," Cassandra snapped. "She threw herself for attention." And my mom's voice. God, it cut right through the air, flat and cold as steel. "Can we not do this now?" That's when I paused the video and just sat there, staring at my own body on the screen, feeling absolutely nothing and everything. It wasn't even the shove or the fall. It was the fact that nobody flinched. Nobody asked if I was okay. I watched it again, slower this time. My mom, on her phone. My dad smirking. My brother snorting. This was normal for them. That's what gutted me. Not the violence, but how routine it was. The only difference was this time, I had proof. The next morning, I checked out of the motel and took an Uber to Erin's. I hadn't seen her in months. Erin used to live 2 doors down from us, back when we were kids. She moved out as soon as she turned 18 and never looked back. Smart girl. She opened the door with a fuzzy blanket wrapped around her shoulders and a spoon in her mouth. "Maya?" She blinked. "Are you okay?" I told her I just needed a place to crash for a bit. She didn't ask questions, just opened the door wider and said, "I've got waffles." The toaster kind. Not the good kind I smiled for the first time in days. By noon, I was sitting in the waiting area of the ER, signing forms with my left hand while my right stayed stiff and throbbing in a splint. I got a copy of my injury report. No questions asked. By 2 p.m., I was standing in front of the police station with my hoodie up and a thumb drive in my jacket pocket. I almost didn't go in. I almost told myself this was too much. Then I thought about my mom calling me dramatic while I was lying on the floor. So I stepped inside. The officer at the desk looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. I gave him my name, my ID, the medical report, the footage. He watched it. Once. Then gave me a case number and told me someone would be in touch. I don't know if he cared. I don't think that's the point. What mattered was the paper trail, that something had been filed, that they wouldn't be able to say nothing happened. The next day, I called Alan Fisher, civil lawyer. Expensive, but not impossible. I had savings, nothing fancy, just enough I'd squirreled away from shifts at the diner that my parents didn't know about. Money they thought I'd spent on clothes or junk food. Funny how useful that secret cash turned out to be. Alan met me in a glassy little office downtown, wore a tie that didn't quite match his shirt, and sipped black coffee like it was keeping him alive. At first, he didn't take me seriously, until I showed him the clause in the will. Then I showed him the footage. He went quiet. When it ended, he said, "They were laughing." "I know." He nodded, like something had locked into place in his head. "The audio may be an issue legally, but the video's clean. Clear intention, neglect, possibly malicious endangerment. If the trust language is strong, you've got something." He read the will again, then said, "Let's send them a letter." They got it the next morning. I know, because my phone exploded. 23 missed calls, 5 voicemails, 12 texts. From my mother. "This is ridiculous. We didn't do anything wrong." From my dad. "We're family. This isn't how family solves problems." From Cassandra. "You wanted this. You set me up. Who even puts a camera in their own house?" And my favorite, from my brother. "You made Mom cry." You're so selfish, I turned my phone off. Alan called later that afternoon. "They've hired a lawyer," he said. I didn't respond. "They're denying everything. They're saying it was an accident, that the video is misleading, that you planned the whole thing to get the house. Still," I said nothing. "They're also saying the recording violates privacy laws, that you'll be charged if you use it." I looked out the window. The street below was wet from rain. A woman in a red coat was arguing with her dog. "Let them try," I said. There was a long pause. Then he asked, "You're not scared?" "No," I said. And I wasn't. That was new. "Let them try," I said. And I meant it. They wanted a war? Fine. I already had the footage. The fall. The laughter. My mother calling me dramatic while I cradled my wrist at the bottom of the stairs. And now they were trying to flip the script, threatening me with legal action for filming in my own house? I didn't even argue. I just texted Alan, "Let's escalate." He called me back 5 minutes later. "They're bluffing," he said. "The audio's tricky, but the video alone is enough." You don't need to say a word. Just file your civil motion, attach the footage, and let it speak for itself. So we did. Here is the revised confrontation scene, expanded for emotional depth and realism, with the correct name, Leo, and better pacing. I've kept the style, tone, and structure consistent, and all changes are marked in bold for clarity, as you requested. The next day, they were on my doorsteps. Well, technically, Erin's doorstep. She wasn't home when they arrived, which was probably for the best. My father did the talking. Big surprise. "We need to talk," he said, like this was a parent-teacher conference and not a lawsuit. I didn't move. I stood behind the glass storm door and just stared at them. My mom was wringing her hands like a character in a church play. Cassandra didn't even pretend to look sorry, and Leo, my little brother, had his arms crossed like he'd just been grounded for no reason. I didn't open the door. "I think you're overreacting," Dad tried again. "You fell." "Accidents happen." "Right." "I broke my wrist," I said through the door. "You were in the way," Cassandra muttered. "Don't," I told her. "Not here." "Okay, listen," Dad said, softening his tone like I was 6 years old again. "This is going to destroy the whole family. Your sister just got accepted to university. You want to ruin that over—" "One shove?" I said. "One injury? One lifetime of being treated like trash?" Mom looked up. Her face was tight with something between guilt and fury. "We didn't come here to fight," she said. "We came to ask you to stop. You've made your point." I almost laughed. "My point?" "Yes," she snapped. "You've embarrassed us. You've turned this whole thing into some drama. And for what? For being pushed down the stairs?" "It wasn't like that," Cassandra snapped. "I have it on video," I said. "You filmed us?" Leo said, his face twisting. "That's so messed up. You think pushing someone down the stairs is fine, but recording it is going too far?" None of them answered. "You're doing this for the house," Cassandra said suddenly. "Just admit it. You knew exactly what you were doing." I stared at her. "I was cooking Christmas dinner when you pushed me," I said. "If I was staging a scam, I would have picked a day I wasn't peeling carrots for 6 hours. Dad sighed. "You've always been stubborn, but this is too far." "You don't get to decide how far is too far." "Not anymore." He took a breath. "Look, you're angry. Fine. But lawyers are involved now. You could lose. You could get in trouble for that footage. You think your lawyer is going to protect you when this gets ugly?" "It already got ugly," I said. "You just weren't paying attention." There was a long silence. Then Mom tried again, quieter this time. "You're not a victim." "Then why are you here?" I asked. No one had an answer. Cassandra stepped forward. "I didn't mean to push you like that. I was trying to get by. You were blocking the stairs. I just nudged you. It wasn't—" "You shoved me," I said. "I fell." "I broke my wrist. I'm not imagining it. I'm not exaggerating." And you all laughed. "I didn't laugh," Leo mumbled. I didn't know what to do. That makes 2 of us." Mom's voice cracked. "Do you really want this to go public? You think the court is going to see some perfect little victim in you?" I looked at her for a long time. "No," I said. "But they'll see you just fine." I stepped back from the door. "You should go." "Please," Dad said. "Don't do this." "You already did it," I said. "All I did was hit record." And then I walked away. I didn't watch them leave. I didn't need to. Another 2 weeks went by. Then Alan called again. "They've proposed a settlement," he said. I didn't respond. "They're offering full surrender of the house. All rights of residence waived. They'll move out within 30 days, forfeit their share of the trust, and agree never to contact you again." Still, I didn't say anything. "There's one condition," Alan added. I already knew what it was. "If you drop the charges," he said, "and agree not to release the footage publicly." I looked out the window. It was snowing again, light flakes drifting down like ash. I wondered if they'd started packing. "Tell me about the criminal side," I said. "If you proceed," Alan said. "With that video, your sister could face felony assault. She could do time. It's not guaranteed, but it's very possible. And if I take the deal? She pleads down to a misdemeanor, community service, no jail, no record that would cost her university." I took a breath, let it out slowly. "Will she admit guilt?" Yes, he said. It's in the paperwork. She'll admit she pushed you. It'll be sealed, but it'll exist, and the house becomes yours. Fully. I closed my eyes. This was it. The moment. The thing they never thought would happen. The day someone stood up to them and they couldn't wriggle out with charm or gaslighting or crocodile tears. They wanted forgiveness without consequences. But I'd lived in consequences my entire life. Every bruise, every chore, every time I cried and was told I was too much. They could have stopped it. Years ago. At any point. They didn't. I didn't smile. Not really. But I did say, okay. We have a deal. Cassandra got 60 hours of community service. No jail, no record. She'll still get her degree, probably. She'll still have a life. They handed over the house, signed it, moved out. Gone. They even paid Alan's fee, through gritted teeth and an emailed receipt. And me? I moved in. I scrubbed the walls, replaced the curtains, donated the dishes. I found a job closer to home, took my time healing, bought one of those tiny Christmas trees and put it by the window. Just for me. Okay. Not for Christmas. It was March, but it felt like a new beginning. Erin came over that night with wine and something from the bakery. Does it feel weird? She asked. Living here? I thought about it. It feels quiet, I said. In a good way. She nodded. So, what happens now? I shrugged. I make dinner. Watch something stupid. Maybe learn to breathe again. We raised our glasses. To freedom, she said. I didn't say anything, just raised mine. And this time, no one laughed. So, what do you think? Did I go too far, or not nearly far enough? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, go ahead and subscribe.